And a good morning to you. You find me plodding my way to work across the fields, a parallel route, a parallel universe to the main road. The vibe here is just so much different. Anyway, I need to pick up talking about autism and retreat. So in this video, I'll be talking about experiencing a retreat as being autistic. Obviously, it's going to be how autism affects me. Autism doesn't affect every autistic in exactly the same way, to the same degrees, to the same frequency, to the same areas. And again, there are strengths and there are challenges. So going on a retreat, I promised myself a retreat for a very, very long time to help figure out aspects of my faith, my belief, what my way that I feel I connect and relate to the universe and stuff around me. So I was quite anxious about meeting folk, about being there, about the food and so on. So when you're considering somebody being autistic, think about, say, a computer with inputs and outputs that handles information and takes it in one way and brings it out another. Yes, I know we're not really computers, but there are a lot of similarities and different processing operating systems. And as an autistic, anything which goes in through any of your senses, which is obviously your body, because your body is an interconnected whole, gets processed up here and thought about. So depending on how your brain is wired, it's going to affect how that information is then processed and then related outwards again through speech, through feelings, through thinking, writing, the way you can interface with the world and universe around you. So anything and everything of emotional and sensory function can be influenced, impacted, uplifted, enhanced, limited by being autistic. Think about your mixing desk with different faders, different volumes going in, controlling things going in, and then different things going out. Yeah, that's kind of how we are as humans. Most people tend to fall within a particular band of operational functionality, and autistics can be way below or even zero on those faders, like minus, and sometimes we can be way up. And then you've got to work out your master mix, how that master sound comes out and relates and is heard, seen, perceived by the world around. So I think my first thing I was really anxious about as an autistic going on a retreat was food. So residential retreat, food is catered for, and I got in touch with them thinking that I could be going 3.5 days or so without much food. So the senses obviously going on the food are like the feel, the texture of food in your mouth, as well as the taste. I quite like vegetables and greens, but I cannot stand them. Putting them into my mouth makes me want to gag. Yeah, most of the time, most things. If it's green, typically it's like, no thanks, mate. I would like to be more vegetarian or vegan if I could, but meat is a big part of my life. I would like to reduce that, but I don't like fish, so I can't go pescatarian, and it's a real challenge. And knowing that the retreat centre only served meat once a week, which is very good. I understand all the drivers, all the factors behind eating less meat. It was like, okay, what am I going to eat for the week? They were fantastic. I cannot fault them. I phoned them up, spoke about my tastes and ways that autism impacts my palate. And they're very, very understanding. During the retreat, they made some meals particularly for my taste, or prepared them in a way which was more palatable for me. I did have one meal where I wasn't able to confer with the person organising that, and I had next to nothing. In fact, it was tofu. Forgive my ignorance, but I'd never even heard of tofu, didn't even know what it was, and it was tofu, chard and noodles. I hate noodles, I hate chard, and tofu was kind of a bit nah. And it was bizarrely introduced as like a weird version of grace, to the tune of "We plough the fields and scatter." Tofu, chard and noodles are sent from heaven above. I don't think so, not for me anyway. Food, that was the point of autistic impact consequence for me.